Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here. So, yeah, I know there's people from lots of different countries and different languages. So, do use the Interactio app. If you have questions at any stage, pop them in the chat box of the WebEx, and I'll try and translate them and answer them as we go along. I will also stop at lots of different stages. So, if you're stuck, you can ask for questions. So, my name is Miriam. I am a digital media and coding teacher. I worked in further education in Ireland for the last 10 years. So I taught adults, particularly over 16-year-olds, how to code and create digital media content. And this year I'm moving to a new role, but I also do workshops for transition year students in code and create as well. I'm also an Apple Distinguished Educator, Apple Professional Learning Specialist, and I'm certified to teach app development with Swift as well. So I have had a lot of really fun experience with creating apps with students, and especially students of all your ages as well. So I hope you find this useful. So I'm just going to make sure I have my chat open, yeah, so I don't miss anything. So yeah, today we're going to be going through the app design cycle. Now, I know you have done a lot of work over the last few months on your app ideas. So hopefully after today, you'll be able to develop those further. So today we're gonna mostly just stick with the chat. I know there's interactions like smiley faces and celebrations and claps that you can use as well. You can use those as well. But just to keep us running, obviously, if there is a problem, unmute yourself and tell us, and we'll try and figure that out. But hopefully everything will work smoothly. And welcome to everyone from, I know you're joining us. I saw a couple of Irish names in there, but from Italy, Romania, Greece, and Latvia as well. It's really cool to see people joining us from loads of different countries. So yeah, that's me virtually welcoming you. From your different countries. So I know when you started your journey several months back, for some of you, you were given a challenge, and the challenge was different for each of your countries. So we, in Ireland, I know the Irish team were given the challenge to create an app that improves communication between community groups, and you've done a really, really good job there with that one. In Romania, that you were creating an app to tackle fake news. I think when I saw the topics of these, that one excited me the most. That one would be really fun to do. We also had online market for local products, which is really exciting too. Job searching for young people. I think that was for summer jobs, and then a booking system for restaurants and shops. So those are all really cool ideas, and they're all community ideas. So what's really cool about those is they're all ones that help our community. So when you're looking at a good app, the best app advice that I was ever given by an app developer, and the same app developer gave the same advice to my students a couple of years ago, was don't create an app that everybody will want to use. Create an app that everybody won't want to live without. So I don't know if you want to drop in names of your favorite apps into the chat just to see that we can all use it. So what's your favorite app? It might be a social media app, a video app, a creation app. It can be any app that you want. Do you want to see if you can use the chat there to just share some of your favorite app ideas? Magnify Wellness. I encountered that app recently, and it is really fun. Instagram, yeah, I like Instagram. TikTok, League of Legends, uh, Xwalt, YouTube, Instagram, Block. Pinterest, Netflix, yeah. So there's loads of really good ones. I saw somebody search for Udemy there. Udemy's great if you're trying to learn new skills. So yeah, we have lots of them. Netflix, I know, in a summer where you can't travel much, a lot of us have probably spent a lot of hours in Netflix. Duolingo is an app I wish I used more before today. But yeah, those are some great ones. And think about why you like them. You don't have to tell me, but they could just be ones that make you relax, like the wellness apps, ones to enjoy with friends like Netflix, ones for funny puppy videos like YouTube, ones for communicating with your friends. So I know in the last year, with or a couple of years, with everybody being apart, communications apps have been more important than ever. So if we look at that example that the Irish teams were given of creating better communication between community groups, apps like WebEx today have brought us together. If it wasn't for everything being remote, we might be in some conference room somewhere. Who knows? We might have had an in-person get together, but those communication apps have helped this happen and helped us all learn together. So that's just to, I don't know if everybody from all the different countries knew what the other countries were doing, but that was just a quick insight. So for today, you can use either. I don't know if you have an Apple device that has Keynote on it. Doesn't matter if you don't. You can use iCloud.com. I will possibly use iCloud.com if everybody is using it. Or if you just have a pen and paper in front of you, you'll be able to do this as well. So don't panic if you don't have access to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 minutes in a moment to either log in to iCloud.com. You will need an Apple ID. You may need to sign up if you've never used it before, or to grab a couple of pieces of paper and some pens. So I'll just give you a really quick insight into iCloud.com. So iCloud.com is Apple based. So it is like their version of the Office or Google apps, but it's obviously Apple. So if I go to iCloud.com, I'm just going to pop that in the chat box. I will need to sign into my iCloud. I have an iCloud already, but if you don't, you might need to sign up. So I will give you a couple of minutes to do that, and then I'll go through the how, and we'll come back if anybody's having any problems signing in. So I'm just gonna sign into mine. When you do get signed in, you will see all of these, and you may see more, and it'll be the Keynote, that one that we will use mostly today. So I'm going to give you just 3 minutes to try and either guess. Again, if you don't have, if you want to stay on WebEx and you don't have any spare device or anything, if you want to use pen and paper, you'll be able to do this with that as well. So I'm going to just grab up my. I'm going to share my screen properly. You'll see those timers a couple of times. Oops, go back. Timers are not working right now. I think it's just counting down to how long it will be. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes. When you're done, you might just give me a thumbs up so that we know and can move on. So I know I have Ivan's giving me a thumbs up. Great, he's good to go. And I will stop again before we get into creating, just in case anybody else. We have Nicholas is done. Wonderful. I love seeing thumbs up. Everybody's like right on it. I'm good to go. Great. Is it okay? Yeah, so I think somebody's asked if you only use a piece of paper, it's fine. At the end, I will give you lots of links to journals and resources. I will share them as we go along and I will share them at the very end as well. So if you want to just use a piece of paper, if that's what's more comfortable with you, and you can draw it all out and you can go back to your computer later today or work with your team and discuss with your team what to do, that's fine. Done. I'll give you about you we aren't going to use notes, but if you want to use them, you can to take notes as you go along. That's a good question. I know sometimes people use notes for planning this as well. Okay, I think I have a good few people done, so I'm gonna keep moving to the next few slides and then I'll switch to my iCloud. So you will need a resource for these. This is something I'm not going to use every single page of it. There's a couple of journals that are available, but it's something that you can think about afterwards. I am going to just drop that link in the chat, or if you have something that you can scan that QR code, it'll bring you directly to us. And that is the first of our journals. So there's a couple of things that questions that we're going to go through and that I'm going to display. Someone asked why we need iCloud. That's where we're going to be creating our prototype. But again, if you don't have iCloud, you can use paper. So that is the link to a journal that I'm going to go through in the next couple of slides after this. So in that journal, there's a couple of journals. There's that one, and there's also one that has a lot more detail when we're looking at prototyping that I'll show you at the end. I think for these, you can, okay, if it's in a Keynote, I'm going to show you that in 1 second. I'll just do this slide first. So yeah, if you have your iCloud, you'll be able to open up the Keynote file in there. So this is the prototyping stage of it. So if we look at brainstorming, planning, prototyping, and evaluating, so I'm going to talk through these and then I'll show you how to upload that Keynote file for anybody that wants to look at it before I open up mine. And I'll open up mine in iCloud as well, so it'll look just like yours. So in brainstorming, this is where you would have come along over the last few months and taken those ideas or those themes that you were given and you would have thought about them in more detail. So you would have thought, okay, how can I create an app that will help community groups in my hometown get together and communicate? Or how can I open up or how can I create an app that will tackle fake news? So we know fake news is a problem right now, but how can you do that? And how might it look like? The next stage is planning. And I'll show you the planning as well, is where you use that piece of paper or you use some post-its or you use the notes app and you just plan out what you want to have in there. And then the third one is prototyping, which we'll do today, and we'll also do evaluating. So if you, I'm seeing all the questions coming in on the chat box, don't panic. If you're on Windows, this works. On Windows as well, it is iCloud, but you're going to have to upload into your iCloud. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out, because I know some people are panicking. I'm going to pop out of this presentation and I'm going to open up my browser. pop out of that one as well. So I just need to share this screen. Safari. I think this one shares my desktop, so if this stops at any stage, just let me know. No, that's good. That's what I wanted. So when you're in iCloud, okay, you are going to want to open up Keynote as different stages. What you have downloaded, the Apple resources that are created, all of them are in Keynote. You're going to have 3 different ones that you can download, and that will be useful. One is an actual app prototype, which I find really, really useful looking at. And you can pop them into your iCloud Drive or your Keynote folder, but I'm going to pop them into iCloud Drive. And that's where you can open them. If you can't open them, I will be going through them. So don't worry, you won't need them to create your prototype. It's more to look at them at the same time as me if you want, but I will be displaying them on WebEx. So if I click on my iCloud Drive, you'll see my packed iCloud Drive, because I use this all the time. You may have a delay like this, but don't worry. And there is an option to, up here, upload the little cloud at the top. And if you click on upload, whether you have a computer or a Mac, you can see I'm on a Mac, but it won't make any difference. You'll have to find wherever that downloaded file is, and mine will be in here. And if I click upload, then you'll be able to open it. Just uploading. I'll do that again in a moment. Oh, mine's uploading here. So that one is quite big. I'm also on WebEx, so it's slowed down a little bit. You can see it's loading there. You'll probably, if you've only just signed up for iCloud, you'll have a much neater, tidier iCloud than I have in front of me here. And we're gonna go, once it's there, it'll have this little icon in front of it, and you can tap and open it. So I'm going to leave that open, but it's this little one, the one with the cloud and the upward arrow is for upload. And if you find that in your downloads on your computer, you'll be able to upload that up there to guess. If you don't have iCloud, can we use, so someone's asked, can you use paper notes? That's okay. What about Windows? Hopefully, yeah, so someone says it works. I don't have a PC in front of me. I was like, it does work, because my students do this. I know a lot of them would have had computers remotely. So yeah, if you are on Windows, go to, I'm just going to go back to the start steps once my Safari stops quitting. So sign up if you want to. If you're on, I don't know about Linux. If you, I have never used Linux. Does iCloud open? That might be a question for Google. You've caught me with a question that I don't know the answer to. Yeah, like it works on Chrome. If you can use Chrome on there, it works on Safari. I know older like Internet Explorer doesn't work, so I had that problem, but it should just work in a browser. So if we go to iCloud.com, and then it'll be in here. If I open up my Keynote, it'll be in there as well. So I think it should be in there. So I will start, like I said, if somebody cannot access this journal, you can find a way to access it after today. This is just for me asking you questions. So it's not as important as creating, as long as you can have access to a piece of paper, which hopefully everybody has, or Keynote afterwards. So this is that journal. I'm just going through it really quick there. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go through it just on Keynote on my Mac because I have my slides as well. So give me 1 second to close all those down. And there's loads of useful graphics in there. So these are for a talking point. So that is why you would use these journals. There's two of them. There's a journal and a workbook. So this is the journal. And if you look at what I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, before we went into all of this, we have brainstorming. So you come up with your ideas, you're planning, you're prototyping, and you're evaluating. So I won't spend too much time on brainstorming, but I have maybe a question or two that I will ask you. So that is where you get through your ideas. I think you all have your ideas. So these are some of those. If you can see your presentation in your browser, you don't have to take notes because you'll have that afterwards. So then define the opportunity. What is this opportunity? You know, the problem that you've been given or the challenge that you've been given. They're really great challenges. I might borrow a few of those for ideas for my class, especially the fake news one in September. And what questions do you need an answer to? So if we're looking at the fake news one, how can you make an app like that fun, maybe? So if you look at it, who is more likely to fall for fake news? Is it going to be younger people? Is it going to be your grandparents? If we're thinking about maybe older people that are not used to using the internet so much and they just believe everything they see on the internet, you're going to have to make the app simple enough that they understand the app. But then you also want it to be fun. So you have to like target all your different audiences. Can you explain your app in just 1 sentence? So these are just questions to ask yourself. You don't have to answer these right now. I asked you about your favorite apps, and you told me everything from wellness apps to Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, Udemy. Why do you like the apps? Like I said before, the best advice we got was get an app that you can't live without. So do you like the app ideas that you told me, or can you not live without them? So if I was to take an app that I really like Netflix. But if my Netflix were to disappear, would it affect my life? Yeah, well, I wouldn't have anything to watch, but I would still be okay. But if, for example, my messaging app that I connect to all my family and friends with was to disappear, I'd probably cry. I would be a lot more upset than if my Netflix disappeared. And then your ideas. So this is something that when you're evaluating your app before you present your final app, you should have all the answers to these. So I'm going to go through these. Is there an app like this already? So this is one example that my students got that one time where they wanted to create a community app that came together to clean up the community. So like organize these weekend meetups where they could make their community nice and clean. And when they were searching, they found there was an app. So there was an app out there, and it was a really good app. It worked really well with bringing people together and getting those cleanups done, but it didn't work in their community. So they, instead of saying, you know, this app is wonderful, but it's not for us, they took some of the bits that they liked from us and they made it relevant to their community instead. So I'm not going to go through all these questions. Like I said, I'm going to pop out of there. What we're going to do is go into my other keynotes. Hopefully this is the right one. And I have some questions up here. So yeah, the overview, you should be able to know what all your different apps are already. And that is where you guess. So if you've questions, I think I've answered all the questions, so I'm going to skip that just to bring up a time. I'm going to evaluate an app right now. So the best part of app creation, obviously, is creating your own app, but you have to do a lot of work before and see what's out there, see what's good, see what's maybe could be better. I know I asked a class of 8-year-olds this question last year where they were talking about their favorite app, and their biggest complaint was that all apps need the internet. So they wanted like an Instagram and a TikTok that didn't need the internet. So were those app ideas good enough? I don't know if anybody has 8-year-old siblings. They were good ideas, but they already existed, and I don't know how they were going to magically do it without the internet. So they weren't very original, but they were really good ideas for their ages, and they were a good place to start. But this one, I'm going to show you, this is an Apple created one, and I can give you a link after. Again, you'd have to upload it to your Keynote, but don't worry about that. I'm just going to show you this, and we'll have a couple of questions. So this is part of the app development with Swift curriculum. It is one of those free to download resources that I will share at the end, and it's just good to see it there so that you can break it down and think about what might work in yours. So I'm going to just open up that one, and this is a prototype. So we'll create something like this today by the time we're finished. If you don't get it fully finished today, don't worry, you can work on it afterwards. So this is Go Green. It is an app to help you live a healthier lifestyle. So when you open up your phone, so I'm just going to take my phone there. I open up my phone and I open up my Go Green app. So I click, do I know how to get started? I would probably click get started. I don't know if anybody is using the interpretation app, but I wasn't sure. I opened it obviously for the first time today, and I wasn't sure of how it was to work, but there was a big circle with a triangle and it looked like a play button. So I knew there wasn't any other button that I was meant to press. So I figured, yeah, this is probably the button that I'm going to press. So it was a good design on their point of view. I also liked the colors that they used on their landing screen. So I'm going to click Get Started. How many people live in your household? So I'm just going to say 4. And it's going to ask me questions about my household. So again, I click Continue. And that's just an animation. So I know this is American, but you can probably think about it in your own households as well. So how much trash or rubbish does a household generate? So that's a loss. And it wants me to do better, or the app user to do better. So I can do different things. I can log what I throw out. So this is something that you might do in your home or in your classroom, and what you recycle. So do you have like a recycling bin and a regular bin? I think most people do. And it's just going to ask me to log it in. My forest, so it has this really nice animation, it will grow as I level up. So it's rewarding me. You know those games, some of your favorite games that you might have? They're always when you get badges or leveling up, or you get like something for doing something good. So it could be like I have an exercise app that I use and I have to close the rings. And every day I close the rings because I've closed them the day before. It makes me get up and exercise so that I do it the next day. I have a water bottle that has an app that also has this like water droplet that increases, and you have like a streak of drinking every day. Again, it makes me do something because I get a reward out of it. And you don't want to leave yourself down. You don't want to have that one day where you don't do it and it breaks your streak. So apps rewards are really good. And some of these features are ones that you might take into your own app. So challenges and rewards and completing with friends. And then you can spend your points at the virtual emporium. So it's going to say that you can get some causes at the end of this. So this is my little forest on day 1. So I haven't done anything yet, and I want to log how much trash that I take. Now, you can see a little calendar at the top. This should be familiar with you. How much have I recycled? So if I am gonna just make that up. Yeah, these don't work because it's a prototype. Not everything will work on the first day. And if this won't work either because it is a prototype. So the idea behind prototypes is that someone gets the idea of how it might look. And if I go into challenges, I have like a code. Again, that's not clickable. I'll show you how to make things clickable later on. There's a challenge for using fewer straws, picking up trash. There's past challenges that it has in there, like planting something. And you can, some of these are clickable. How do I know that they're clickable? My little cursor, I know I have the green cursor on there, it changes to a hand, otherwise it's an arrow. But that's in there. And then I have achievements. So I got gold on that date and I was very proud of myself. I didn't really get gold, but you can give somebody an idea of what they might achieve in here. And then what's in my emporium? So I can buy a goldfish or a rabbit. I'm not sure where I would put those goldfish and rabbits, but I could buy grass or things like that. So that is how that looks like for you and for me and for the user. This up here is your user profile, which may be recorded, and I'm just going to get out of that and show you how it's made. So this is where we'll be going through today on icloud.com. If I look at the very start, these are just like presentation slides. So they are displayed just like you would a presentation. We changed the dimensions of the screen so that it looks more like a phone. If I was to open this on my phone, it would feel like an app. Obviously, I have it open on my Mac right now in presentation mode, so it doesn't. But if I had it on a touch device like my phone or my iPad or my tablet, it would feel more like an app because it is the right size. And then we have options like here, these are just connected to animations. And we have here all of these just are different screens and they're all linked. See this little green arrow up here? This indicates that there's a link. So I'll be showing you how to do all of this. These are just settings, settings from apps that you might have used before that you like. You can put those in there so it looks kind of pretty. And you can see it may not have felt like that, but this is 24 different screens in here. So 24 different options. So if you're looking at like wireframes or planning, it's 24. It didn't feel like it was that big of an app. Usually when I get students to do this, their first app ends up being about 50 and then it can grow to 100, but you don't have to put every single thing in. We're going to be doing maybe 5 screens today. But after you're finished today, you can go off and you can work in your groups and you can create more and have more fun with it and play around and discover new things with it. So I have a couple of questions about this. So this was my demo app. Were there any features in that app? Was there anything that you saw that you would like and that might work in your app? So somebody asked just there what app was used to make that prototype. Now, I didn't make that prototype. That's an Apple provided one, but it was Keynote, which is what we'll be using today. So it was Keynote. So any features in there that anybody saw that might work well in their apps? The minimal design, I like minimal design. If we're thinking back, I know I said earlier about that fake news one, if you're thinking of an older audience, they're going to need something that could possibly be easier, like a minimal interface. And then you also want it so that people don't get lost, that they're not clicking into things that they don't want to. Modern design, yeah, I like this. Did people like it? I can, one second, I have the link to that prototype. Someone asked for it. This is the prototype. I will give you all these links at the end so you can look at them again. And you can, what I like doing is breaking them apart and seeing how things are done. So this is the link to that prototype. It would have to be uploaded to iCloud as well. Rewards for filling in fake news, like the forest. Yeah, so the rewards would work, I think, for a lot of the app ideas that you came up with. Rewards works well. I think the apps that I use most all have rewards because I like rewards. Rewards for filling up the forest. Rewards for filling fake news sources. So you might have like a trash or a rubbish bin that you can like fill it up with loads of fake news. That would be cool. So yeah, I really like that app idea. I'm going to show you a couple of ones before I start into prototyping in a minute that I would have come up with and made using Keynote. I don't have the full ones, but I have a couple of screens from them based on that. That there aren't too many details. Yeah, so yeah, focus on what's important, what you want people to see. Do you want to have lots of buttons and confusing places, or and like, you know, if you have lots of buttons as well, it's kind of more places that things can go wrong. So like more code that could cause problems or bugs in there. So you keep it really, really simple. And that's what I'm going to do with the one that I'm going to show you how to do today. So challenges, yeah, challenges are definitely one of my favorite things. So when I was, oh, another question, the colors. Can you think of the colors that were used? Can you remember them? Were there lots of different colors? Green and white, and yeah, there's a bit of blue in there. So yeah, I found someone said they're mainly fresh colors. It felt like an environment app. There's lots of green, a little bit of blue, a lot of white. It felt like bright and like friendly and nice and eco-friendly. So think about the colors that you're going to be using. I'm going to just fill those colors in here. So I'll show you how to do all of these in a little while. So I'm just going to put in, I could copy the colors from the app, but I'm not. I'm just going to put in a green, a blue, a white, and a black. That was pretty much the app. If I was to look into it again, there might be a couple. I know there was like yellows in there for rewards, but it was very simple. How do you choose colors? So that's a really good question. And it's like you knew this slide that was coming up next. How do you choose colors for your app? Think about what your app is going to be. So like I have the app that I'm going to do. It's a community app. I'm going to do this in a minute. So I picked my community colors. So my county colors. I know there's other Irish people here, and they would have different colors that I would have if they were using like their community colors. Yeah, so this one, if you're looking at environment, there's certain colors that work. There's an app that's good called Pastel. I don't know if anybody has used it. But they're one that I found really useful as well, and I have it open on my browser. Let me just pop to it. Just from this here, from a color palette point of view, I don't know if anybody has used color.adobe.com. It's Adobe Color. It's really good for like color ideas. So you think of a color, like I really like black and gray and yellow right now. It's just a thing. It's like a color for, not for an app. I don't think I'd use yellow that much in an app. I told my students never to use yellow, and then a student proved me wrong, and they used a really good example of yellow. So I no longer tell my students they can't use yellow. But you have to be careful with some colors. So in here, this website, I'm just gonna put it in here. Oh, there's my autocorrect put in a U. There's no U in it. So yeah, this is just good because you maybe have blue in your mind and you can see what's trending right now. You can save colors. You can create colors. So if I was to go like, look, this is totally coincidental, but if I was to create a new environmental app, it's got all these like shades of green that again to me feel a little fresh, like somebody said with the eco-friendly app up there, they might work. I'd probably put in maybe a little bit of blue white in there as well, but those could be really nice eco-friendly apps. And yeah, color choices are important. I saw one on Instagram recently where there was somebody setting up a new clothing business. It was a kids clothing app, and they shared their colors, and all their colors were pale, muted pastel tones. And the reason I found it really interesting because you don't know why Netflix used black, white and red. They just do. They might have explained it, but I don't know right now why they use those colors. But this company explained that the reason they did it was they have like beach clothes, like so seaside clothes for kids, and they wanted them to feel like the beach. So they wanted like sand colored, like pale blues, pale greens. And that's the reason they went for their logo choice, and their whole like design, and it feels like relaxing for people to visit, and I found that was interesting. So yeah, I can pick these. From a Keynote point of view, this again is not my advice, it's some advice that I found or was given at some stage. If I go down here, I'm just gonna click on my cell. In my color palette, no, not in here. Yeah, here. See this one here? The advice that I was given one time, and it does actually work, is if you're using colors that come up from a color wheel or a color palette that looks like this, go across the top, and those colors generally go next to each other. Same if I go across here, those match, those go well, and those go well, or go down. So if I was using 4 shades of blue, those would go well. The teal, the green, the yellow, those would go as well. So yeah, I don't know who or when, it was a long time ago, told me that, but they do really work well together if you go across or down in the columns in color wheels. So yeah, for your apps, think about your apps. If we're looking at a community, you might put in your ideas there. So like I'll show you in a moment my brainstorm for my app while I'm prototyping it. Is I wanted something for community, and I'm from Cork, and our colors are red and white. So I have red and white and black in my app icon. So they're just the colors that I used. If we were to go to, I don't know if any of the other Irish people want to drop in what counties they're from and their county colors. But like, yeah, I would choose different colors, and that's just so that it feels community based for me. If I was to go for, say, Mayo, see, Mayo is a good place to be right now. So we've Limerick, green and white, Mayo's. So yeah, you would have different county colors for those, and you don't have to use your county colors. This was just me thinking what feels like community. You could be completely different, and it's personal choice. I had a website that I was making for this education company this one time. And I asked them what colors they needed. 5 colors. They had this like selection tab feature where you had like a word and a color, 5 of those. And when I asked them what color, they asked me for Cadbury purple, as in the chocolate, Cadbury purple. And I asked them for 4 more colors and they just said purple. When we made that for them, it just didn't work. It didn't look good with their whole like company. So colors are something that you can change your mind with lots and play around with them. So have fun with colors and see what works. And sometimes colors, like you've seen that environment example, you'll have colors that work. And eventually you'll get to the right colors. But it is one of the most difficult things with creating an app is choosing your colors. Just because you don't know how others are going to see them. And also, it's something to ask. So before you have your app made, you might ask your friends, what do you think about my colors of my apps? And it mightn't matter any of your features, just your colors. So I'm going to move on from colors now. Hopefully it's given me some things to think about. And then the other one, I'm not going to have a chat on this, but symbols or buttons that you might use. I just want to show you these before we start. So these are just colors of buttons. There's no reason behind these. These are just colors, but a sample button shape. This, a lot of these, you should hopefully know what they would do. So if we click on this, it might be writing a new note. This one might be trashing your fake news. This one might be sending a message to your community group. This one could be an audio recording for a podcast for young people getting jobs in the summer. This could be a tutorial video on how to set up a shop, like a community shop or a booking system. It could be like a tutorial. We have this, which could be a menu, some settings. So most people know what those would do. This one on iOS in particular always has more options. So if I'm in photos and I click on this button, it allows me to do more with my photos. And I know different operating systems have different buttons. Buttons are really useful because not everybody's going to be able to speak whatever language you're using. So if I was to create an app that was only in English, what if somebody in our country, we have people that speak lots of different languages, same as we would have right across Europe and the world. So what about the people that wouldn't speak English or maybe didn't know how to read English? They wouldn't be able to use my app. So these symbols are something that is going to be useful when I'm creating my app. So I'm just going to, oops, stuck. We're going to start creating our prototype now. So what I'm going to do is I have a couple of more slides. I will then go step by step through the prototype. So what I have done, I'm just going to skip the timer there because I don't need it. When I was looking at your ideas, going back to these and the themes that you were using, I was thinking, what features from each of these would I pick that I might show you how to do? I mightn't get through all of them, but you'll get a good idea of them. But yeah, these and the features that I picked out could be things like a database. So I might need a database for job searching. I might need a shopping cart for my online market. I might need a contact form for my booking system, a social network for my better communication or some sort of messaging, and then a quiz for fighting fake news. So think about those features. I'm going to try and integrate these features into my app idea. And my next slide here is going to skip as well because I'm going to show you this. This was my brain dump or my idea of things that I had. I have these app ideas all the time, and then I like put everything on a sheet of paper. That's what I was telling you. I have these like post-its in front of me, oh, like wrong camera, all the time where I like to write random stuff on them. So yeah, somebody was saying, how might a quiz be used for fake news? You might show them something. So you might show them, I don't know, something about fake news. There's lots of fake news stories. You might show them a video, and then the quiz might be yes or no, this was real, or this was fake, or this was, you see like TikTok and video effects, there's lots of fake videos out there. So you could show them something and then see, oh yeah, this is true. And then they click true, and then they get like a point. And then maybe when they get like 10 points, they get a little like badge or medal. Or you could like have multiple choice. So that's why I think when I was doing that, I'm trying to remember, I think the quiz, I was thinking of features that lots of apps would have, and that was the one that hit me for quiz. Now you can use those features in all of them. It's not just those ones, but those are the ones that came to my mind right away. So this is my messy post-it, just digital, of what I would put in my planning. So my app logo. I was going for, I don't like this app logo. This is not an app logo that I would use, but at the time it seemed like a good idea. I don't like it anymore. But I was looking for app names. Again, it's really difficult. So I was looking for like a community app, and I was looking at where I'm from. So the way I had it was like three C's. So I'm from Cork, and then community interactive I really liked, but then community connected worked better for a logo. And then I was playing around at like Irish translations of it, and yeah, I'm not sold on that app name. Often app names are as tricky as coming up with your color scheme, but it's something for that. And then I have features that I will have in there. So I will put these in here. And then my colors that I want to have. I want it to be feel like where it's from, but yeah, those are the colors that I'm going to go with for now. So what we want, and I'm going to just show you, I'm going to skip to the very end. These are a couple of examples. This one here, these are made up messages, just in case anybody's messaging here. This is the mess, or it was what the messages app used to look like on an iPhone. And if you look at your favorite apps, the apps that you use all the day, so for example, that one, and could this work well for a restaurant menu or booking system? There's no reason why I couldn't. So all that we took here was we took messages, changed messages to menu, and then we added in different things in there. So yeah, it just changed from people to add and a cart. So think simple and back to basics sometimes. This is one, this was an eco-friendly hotel app prototype that I made for something recently where you were trying to like watch your carbon footprint in your hotel or in this hotel. I had another one, which I don't actually have a screenshot. It was one of my favorite apps for a while where it was a food app where you go to the fridge and you take a picture with your phone of what's in your fridge and it brings up recipes. I thought one of you can create that one day. I never created it, but for about a year, I thought that was the best app idea ever because it just, yeah, it really helped. So I'm going to pop out of here. I'm just going to do one thing quickly. Just want to take, did I do that? Yeah, and I need to. Okay, now I'm finished with that, and I am going to pop into iCloud. So you're probably wondering why I had you sign up for iCloud. Don't worry, I haven't been wasting your time. So if you have an Apple device, Keynote comes on it. I know a lot of you don't. So yeah, if you don't have one, iCloud works fine. My students this year were at home and we were using, oh, I don't even know how many different types of devices, whatever they had in their home. They all created fantastic prototypes, mostly on iCloud. So on iCloud, when you're in here, I know some of you might have played around with the previous one, but you want a Keynote. So if you can go back to the start, which is here, and iCloud, if you're working off a piece of paper, which I said you could, as well, you're going to want to just draw rectangles in a minute with your pen, but that's okay to do as well. So if I click on my Keynote, now these can be a little slow opening up at the start, but they do open up. So you can see I have lots of files in here, and there is going to be a little plus up here at the top. So you can see I have some app prototypes that I had done previously. I forgot I did that one, even though it was only last month. And the little plus, and it will open up a Keynote presentation. So somebody said there's a problem. I don't know if you want to say what the problem is that you're having, and I'll see. So I'm going to just give you a minute and see if everybody can get to this screen in your iCloud. If you hadn't been, it is in maintenance for an hour. If you can get the app from the App Store, you can use it as well. If you're using this from the app, if somebody's using an iPad, I do have an iPad in front of me as well there, so I can explain the steps for that. I can explain it on a desktop version or on iCloud. But yeah, if you have an Apple device and can get it from the App Store, you can, or you can use it from iCloud.com. Someone's saying Keynote is in maintenance for an hour. Is anybody else getting Keynote is in maintenance? It shouldn't be. For me, it's running. I know this is, if you are the one person, I know there's always one where it's in maintenance. This is being recorded. So you will be able to watch it back if you want to just watch it getting maintenance. No. Refresh yours. I know a couple of people have said if they refreshed, it worked. So hopefully it's okay. Try a different browser. Just gonna sure you're okay before I start this bit. And if we do have multiple people in maintenance, I'll do it and you will have the recording and all the notes and stuff. I know you'll have access to them after. It's always when you want to do something that something goes in maintenance, right? So I might just ask for like a thumbs up or a clap or something reaction if you can. Okay, you've refreshed. Okay, perfect. Panic. The one time, you know, when you really want to use an app and it goes in maintenance and you cry. That it always happens to me. So what I want, see these, Keynote is primarily or was primarily a presentation tool. So would it be used for like slides and like class presentations? But in the last like few years, it's become really, really good for a general creation tool. So app prototypes work wonderfully in here. And also like things like drawing, graphics, design as well. So it has become a lot more if you some people said if you're used to Figma, you can use Figma as well, and you should be able to follow the steps. So I know on the original ones I had Keynote or Figma, so that's okay. So I'm going to just start with basic. So I'm going to go with basic white or basic black, whichever one you do. So I'm going to go through these steps and I'm going to create mine, and I will keep an eye on the chat every so often is all. Just going to close down some of my windows that I had opened. So if you want to name your prototype, you can. I'm just going to go with prototype. Now, there's a couple of things in here that you don't want to have that are just going to make things maybe not work the greatest for you. One of them is this. Do you want to have presentation title as the first thing that someone sees when they open the app? No. So what you want to do is you want to tap on that and just delete or backspace so that you have a blank canvas in there. I'm just going to have to minimize this a little bit. Just need to check one thing. No, it's okay, it's working. I was having a small panic there, but it's all working. So in here, there's a couple of things that you can do. Obviously the one that we had before was using dimensions, which I can give you if you're using it to have a screen, but because you're all using it on computers, what we're going to do is we're going to do something else that I use often as well. We're going to start by using a shape. So on the top, just going to go in here, next to the little T, there's a square in the circle, and there's lots of shapes, and this is why it's really useful to have these in here. And if we click on the shape, you can search and you can get a phone. So I have a phone in here. Images blurred. I don't think so. So in here, I have a phone, and I'm going to make it really big. Well, as big as my screen. Oops, my mouse is going out of control there. So, and wherever you want it to be. My phone is going to be black, but you'll see on the right hand side everything you need to do. If you're using this on an iPad, an iPhone, or a Mac, there's a few more features in here. And if somebody is using those and is confused, you should have everything in pretty much the same space. Like the square and the circle on all of them does refer to your shapes. So you will get those, all of these work the same. So in here we have your phone. And then if we want it to be a pink phone or another color phone, you can. I'm just going to leave it with black. I'm just going to stick my iPhone to black. I'm going to just quickly pop out here to my keynotes because you've seen these. I'm just going to put in a blank slide here. And you'll see shapes is also there. So the one great thing about these is no matter what device you have, I know you're all working on Linux and Windows and various different things, you should be able to have access. So if we click here, obviously the phone's going to be white, but I can do the exact same thing. So that would be if I was to create it on there. And if I was to do it on my iPad or my phone that I have in front of me, I could have done the same thing. So once you have one done, what we want to do on the left-hand side is duplicate this. So duplicate is basically copying it. And the reason why we want to duplicate it is because when we play this at the end, you don't want your phone to be at a different state or place on the screen. You want it to be, yeah, basically be in the same place as you go through. So it's not jumpy, because it looks a little bit messy if you're giving this to someone to test and your phone's jumping all over the screen. So you can duplicate it as many times as you want. Normally I duplicate it about 5 times. And then what I do when I get to, say I fill in all these, when I get to the 5th time and I have a blank one and I'm starting to work on that blank one, I would duplicate it so I have another blank one. So you always have that blank one at the end. So this is my phone screen. There's nothing on my phone right now. And I'm just going to zoom into these for 1 minute. I zoom in and up. So these, we're going to use lots of shapes, lots and lots of shapes. This is if you want to use an image. So if you have a picture, this is like your upload, and you can insert an image in here. Just be careful that it's an image and not an image gallery. An image gallery swipes, but when we're creating this, it would be best to use your image. And we'll use shapes as well. So those are the main ones that we're going to be using. And then when we are using things like shapes, I'm just going to put in a mini phone for a second there. You will see on the right hand side, these will come up and you can use these for text. So I'm going to take it that everybody has a few phones in there, hopefully, and I'm going to think about my first screen. So what is the first screen that you want people to think about or visit when they visit your app? So if I look, and I'm going to just put this up alongside it for a moment. If I look back at that really nice and clean design that I had in my prototype from earlier, this one, I just had a get started and a little logo. It was quite simple. So what I might have, and I'm not going to use any images here, is I'm going to put in a square. So use basic, and these shapes will be used a lot. I'm just going to zoom in. I'll keep zooming in so hopefully you can see it. The square, oops. The square is behind. Oh, it's because I've zoomed in. 1 second. This always happens. It's not Keynote, it's broken. It's me and my thinking. If you try to zoom in too much, it gets a bit stuck. Well, it gets stuck for me. So in here, this square is going to be my background color. So I'm going to put a background color in here. And don't worry if it's too big, we'll bring our phone forward afterwards. So what colors do I want? Now, I know I said earlier that I wanted a red and a white app. If I was to put a red background in my app like that, do you think that would be good or bad for someone to see as the first thing? Would you like to see a bright red screen when you open up somebody's app for the first time? It would be tiring. Yeah, it's not great on your eyes. Danger. Yeah. So if I was to open up that, it's one of those things, when you're thinking about colors, yeah, black and red and and white seems like the best idea ever. And then you're looking at it and you're like, my eyes hurt already, and I'm not even using the app. And also, yeah, what's wrong with your app? It is red. So sometimes you wouldn't have So yeah, someone said green or like blue would be better, and I was thinking of kind of those colors anyway. The one of my like favorite colors to use is like this color, but that's a bit bright. You can use other colors that aren't in here, so you can get your color wheel up. I'm gonna use just something like that, but I'm gonna use a gradient. So if we put in like a green and blue one, it looks a little bit brighter, less scary than my red, hopefully. And yeah, so I can build a home screen. I'm going to build a little home screen now using some shapes just quickly, just to show you how they would have done that environment one. If you have that box, now my box is a little bit too big, there is an option up here called arrange, and your arrange will bring things forward or backward, which you are probably familiar with. So I'm just gonna bring that forward, and now it fits perfectly in there. So now I have my one in there, and I'm going to just go, I'm going to click on, I'm actually thinking of the app that I have, the translation app. I did really like that play button that we had. So I could build one of them with a circle, not a black circle, but I could do like a style. We're gonna go with what? And where's my play? So like an arrow. You can edit some of these shapes. Like if I go like that, it gets rid of that little line in the arrow. There's lots of things you can do with shapes. And if I was to change that to a gradient color, style gradients, okay. And then I'm going to go with a text box. I'm going to stop in a minute and just make sure everybody's okay. But I'm going to go with Work Connected, just as my name of my app. I will go back over to my paintbrush and make this bigger. And maybe make it white as well. So I'm totally changing my color scheme. I don't like the text. There's some limited text options in here. There's lots, but if you wanted like to use a different text in your app, you could just make note of that for when you're actually building it afterwards. Do think text is another one for considerations, that when you're making them, just think that will all operating systems be able to see them, because sometimes they can't. I'm gonna go with, I'm not sure. It looks friendlier, but I don't know if it's clear enough. So I'm going to just go in there. This may be the worst app prototype I ever made. And then I'm just going to click a get started. So I'm going to keep this one simple. And I want that in a different font type, just a simpler one. This one, something like that. Okay, smaller. Now in this, I have my first page. So it's really basic. It is kind of a landing page. There's no like scary menu options in there. And what I could have is like an animation or like a video of the community playing in there. And then they click on either the play button or they get started. So that's my first screen. And what I'm going to do here is just move on. I'm going to copy this background because I actually like, whoever said green or blue, thank you. I've totally changed my color scheme, but I like it. It kind of works for what I wanted in here. I'm actually going to just duplicate this. That'll be easier because I want the same color on the next one. So is everybody okay with what we have so far, where we're kind of going? you'll see me use a lot of shapes and a lot of like boxes and stuff before as I go through. Okay, so I'm going to keep going and I want to think back to what I have, and I'm just going to bring them up to remind myself. The features that I was saying I wanted to kind of go with for you were things like a quiz, a database, a shopping cart, a contact form, and a social network. So what we want to do is we want to have these on the next one. Obviously, I want to bring them in. This is going to be a community app for people in my community. So you can, I'm going to show you a couple of different options. Just going to move my iPad back there. I've done this different ways and had it look different ways. I did do this for a while. For a lot of my apps used to have buttons like this. That's just a rounded square. And then you can tap away in there. But what I started doing that I kind of liked is round buttons. So it's your own personal preference, but I switched to that a little while ago and I kind of liked that. So I'm going to make this simple and I'm going to keep these white. I'm going to try and make it look nice at the same time. What do you want to do? I'm going to go with 6 of them. So there's, you'll see those yellow lines come up. They're really good for aligning them up. You can see mine are not very well lined. I never do these like really well when I'm doing them live. But yeah, and one more. Okay, so these are my menu options. And I'm going to think about symbols. So we want something to do with communication. So I'm going to look for a speech bubble. And do I have my gradient again? Kind of making this whole thing up. And a quiz. So that's going to be my, I will put text as well in a moment. Quiz. There's no quiz, but we can just have it tick or yes. Rewards. Award. Sometimes searching for these, you forget the words that they use, but you get used to it after a while. So I'm just going to put this for my awards, community awards. We want to have a database. Note. You can create your own shapes and you can use other shapes. So you don't have to use the same one as these. What were the other ones that I had? We have a quiz. We have rewards. Oh, shopping cart. Always forget about that one every single time. And shopping cart. And contact form. And what was the other one? Now, these may not be in the right order, but you'll see them work in a minute. And I've only got 5 of them, and we'll just say get started. Or recycle. These are things that I can do with my community. So I'm going to just change all these. What I did to select those, just in case you were wondering, if I just held down the shift key while I was selecting them, that allows you to select multiple. So these are things I want to do in my community. Remember the name of mine, which is Cork Connected. And this is page 2 of my app. Nothing works yet. So these will each have their own page. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to create them all, but we'll have some of them. I'm thinking of the rewards one is one that is fun for you, for me to do. I like that whole kind of like reaching that goal that you can do and getting there. You can bring in elements of like interface from existing apps, like a calendar that we have in there as well. So every single page that I should have one of these after. So I'm just going to grab this. I'll keep this as the background going through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, I know I duplicated these at the start. Sometimes this happens where you do them and then you think, this doesn't really work. I want to have a different look that I duplicate. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this one 4 more times. And I'm going to work through these. So we will work with the one that I'm most excited about, which is the awards. And it might be from a quiz, so it could be from a fake news one. So here, just move these back. How do I move all these over? I'm going to move my phone at the same time. And move that over here. I should have grouped them before. That's okay. And this phone's going to be a little bit jumpy, but move it back in line. Oh, it's fine now. So yeah, don't do what I do. Put more thought about it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to create this rewards one. We're just going to say things that aren't true about or fake news about work. So things we could just have fake news quiz. So I want to ask a question. And I'm going to ask a question in here. 1 second, just one of them. I'm only going to do one example, and we're going to just say, where is Cork capital of Ireland? And it would help if I could spell capital. And is the answer yes or no? So I'm going to put in 2 boxes. And I'm going to make them just blue. You can type in any boxes, yes and no. And then I'm going to go to the next page. So this has to have a page where it goes to the answer, right? So it's going to have 2 different options. So if we click, I'm going to duplicate this, and I am going to duplicate it 1 more time. And I'm going to have a tick. I think I'm just going to make sure that this works. Yeah, you can put emojis in here. So I'm just going to put like a big emoji in here. I'm going to make the size on the right into maybe like 200. And you get a point. And we'll just say 3 points. And that point might go there. If they got the right answer. And if I go no, so I'm actually going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to change this to 0 points. Or please try again. We want to be friendly, right? And we'll go with a big red X, the most unfriendly symbol that you could have in there. And yeah, so this could be my quirk quiz, and then you get 10 points and you get a like little reward on the wall. So in here, I'm just gonna put some lines in here or squares in a different color. That's just general knowledge, not really fake news. But my fake news, right? I should have looked up like fake news stories about Cork this morning. I'm sure there's plenty of them. I'm gonna make them. I'm really stuck on the whole blue collar thing right now, and bring that to the front. And I have got our trophy. And we'll give it a title. So we'll just make that yellow and put in a little text box saying I got all my knowledge right for August 21. Whites. So in here, I'm just gonna play this from the start, and we'll see if this is good enough for this one. So the play button plays. Again, there's a small, like, little bit of delay, but it'll come up. So somebody wants to get started. Does this work? Do you think it works already? Maybe looking at them, who thinks it works? Maybe give me like a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the reactions. Does anybody think it works? You think it works? Okay. Exactly. Somebody, Faisal, I think, has said you didn't add any functionalities. It doesn't work. Now, it will work as a presentation. So I know there's a couple of people said that it won't work. That's fine because it's really hard for you to go, does this work or not with it in front? Yeah, if I click on this, it'll click forward. I know this one was just the jumpy screen because I moved it around. It'll just keep forward. It'll work as a presentation, but it won't actually work as an app. So if I have these in here, now this is only a start. I'm going to maybe do one or two more screens, and then I'm going to give you loads of time to just play around it and ask questions, because I know it can be tight on time, and these do take time to do, but I think they're really fun when you're doing them because you have to think about all the possibilities and things that go wrong. Yeah, that looks like it works because it automatically goes to the next slide, but it doesn't. So this play button has no functionality currently. So I want to right click, or you might click control click, and you want to add a link. So I'm just going to bring this up here. Right click, add a link, and see on the left hand side you have numbers here. Those are the numbers of your slide. So when you're adding links, don't do it until the end. So do links as your last thing, because if you add a link and you like add an extra slide, maybe you like finish it all and you're really happy with it and you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and you say, wow, I have this amazing idea for this screen, but it's going to be in the middle of my app. Yeah, all your numbers are going to break. So you don't want to do it until you're sure that you're done. But that means when somebody comes in and they click on it, it will work. So I could link a couple of things in here. So I'm going to add my slide. I want to link it to the next slide, which is slide 2. And you will see something I pointed out earlier. Now, I pointed them out green, and on iCloud.com, they're blue. I think they're green on an iPad as well. Don't worry about the colors that they appear, but this little arrow means that something's linked. So it doesn't matter if it's green or blue. I think this is a color interface difference there. But in this case, it's blue. Normally it's green. I would link that, and I would probably link my get started as well, just in case they click down there. So I want to link this to slide 2. I believe the hardest thing is to make on all phones. Yeah, so someone made a really good point there. It's really difficult to make responsive design on all phones. I think being an app developer is probably one of the most rewarding things that you could do, but also frustrating because a new phone comes out or a new device comes out and it's a different screen size, and then you gotta go, oh, I need to change that. So you're constantly trying, your app's never made. It's never completely there. Like it's not going to be on the store and be there for 4 years without needing any change. So it is one of those things that you have to always be thinking ahead. Now, from an app developer point of view, they do get access to things like iOS updates before they come out, or Android updates. Coming out. So they do have that little bit of time, but like then say I don't know, a 12-inch tablet comes out and you're like, oh, I don't have anything that is that size currently. And yeah, someone said to phones that fold. I know there's phones that can fold. I think that would be tricky. That's one of the first things, apart from the fact that I think I would break it. When I saw the folding phones the first time, I was like, oh, app design and those could be tricky, but also I would probably break a folding phone in half, knowing me. So this is clickable. I'm gonna just go through here. This one is our little rewards. I'm gonna add a link to this. I don't have the other slides made yet, so you're gonna have to just imagine that there. Link to slide next slide, which is 3. And then go into my little quiz. Is correct? We like to think we are, but we're not. So I'm going to link the yes to slide 5, and the no to slide. So just add link. If you're doing this on a Mac, it's also right click. And if you're doing it on an iPad, it's just tap and click. So you can do all these features on them. And this is slide 4, I believe. So, and then when you're adding these, test them as you go along. So I'm going to go back and test this now. And I don't have anything linked to slide 6, but we'll go through this. So now if I hover over this, you'll see a little thumb or finger. And so if I go up here, it'll change to an arrow. So down here, it isn't. So if somebody's using this, they will hopefully be able to play it. And then like these don't work because I don't have these in here. Here, and if I tap on yes, it'll go, sorry, please try again. I didn't link my please try again, so it won't go back. But if I go back and out of it again, if I clicked on no, I would have got my 3 points. Now, has anybody understood? I kind of pointed out one problem, but another problem in here, did anybody else notice a problem with it that they want to point out? Do you want to say what that problem is? Hopefully it's the same problem as the one that I'm thinking. I always don't do something intentionally to point out a problem. Letters are too small. Yeah, they probably are, to be honest. They are. The contrast of the text could. somebody pointed out that the contracts of the text, when I put this in initially, I thought it was okay. And the more I've been using it, I saw a couple of slides back when I was bringing in, the contrast of the text isn't great. It's too pale and gray and green. The one was actually navigation. So if I'm using this app, I can keep moving forward. But what if I wanted to go back to my menu? I don't have any way backwards. So same if it was please try again. So if we go here, if I click on, just gonna wait for this to play. If I click, is Cork the capital of Ireland? And we'll go with no. It goes here, that's fine, but like, where do you go from there? I'm stuck. I'm stuck and I have to like force quit my app and it just doesn't work. So in here, what you might want to do, so I would actually change a few things in here. The text here is white. It shouldn't be white. It's too pale. So if I was to make that black, and I'll just make my name black as well, it will be instantly better looking. So I can change that and I can change that. Those icons were kind of quick. In there, I can change that. This text it's gray, but it's not very clear. So I'm just gonna change it to black. In here, I'm just going to change this to black as well. So I'm just making a lot of like color changes. Again, when I started, I thought it was okay. And then the more I used it, and I'm really happy that somebody else said that as well, it just doesn't, the text doesn't pop. It's not very visible for me. So 3 points, like where does that 3 points go? I might want to have some options in here, like your award gallery, because I don't have that linked. And in here, I'm just going to go with there. Please try again. And yeah, in here, please try again. But like my try again isn't. So I can add link to slide, I think it was slide 3. And that will allow me to go back. So that's now linked and I can go back. But you need something that brings you back to the home page. So yeah, normally somebody asked a really good question there about is there a difference between using a bright background and dark text and vice versa. It depends on, I think like this, it's definitely clearer. You don't want your text to blend into your background. The one thing to be careful of though is if you're using a dark text. So I don't know if anybody uses like inverted colors or night mode, dark mode on their apps. If I, with some people's eyes, mine included, if I use night mode or dark mode on some of the apps, I can't see the text. So, for example, Twitter, over a few days ago, changed their app and they made the dark darker and the white text whiter. And yeah, I don't know if anybody uses Twitter, but it made some people, their eyes went a little bit like, this is weird, because it wasn't what you're used to. Same, there's some apps that I just can't use. So be careful of using like a black background, but you could use, I'm just going to have this here, you could use like a dark shade of gray or navy in it. But yeah, so there's some, like if it's really black and really white, it can cause problems for some people seeing them. Whereas if it's like an off-white, like not quite white color or not quite dark, then it is easier for people to see. So there are just some considerations to go in there. When I'm creating them, I never create something that's like black text is okay, but I wouldn't go and create like a white background now or black, vice versa. It just wouldn't work. So in here, what I want to have is a little home button. So we want to be able to go back to, I would say, this page at all times. So I'm going to just put in a little house. This looks like a home button. I'm going to put in a teeny little house just here so I can go back. Do I want it to be black? Maybe like dark gray. And I can link this. I'm gonna put it in the slide, even though it's actually linking to the slide. But I'm gonna link it to slide too. And things like these buttons, these back buttons, um, work if you copy and paste them. So this is linked, so you can do this at the end and it doesn't cause too much issues. You can, oh, I'm trying to move it now and it's causing me issues. It's just because of how I've zoomed in on the screen. And we'll zoom. I'm going to actually just put in this. You see why if these screens had all lined up, it would be fine. I'm going to just line this screen up. I'm just going to look at the dimensions here and the positioning 7, 4, 2, 12, just so that this one lines up. 7, 4, 2 and 12, and I'm going to just move these over because that was going to annoy me. I'm one of those people that likes things lined up. And now if I copy this, it should copy in, okay. And I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna show you some more resources. And I know there's loads of comments and questions. So if you've comments and questions, because I'm aware of the time, in there, you can ask them. And I know I've only gotten that started, so hopefully you'll know where to start. Now, let me play this one more time. So here we have this. Hopefully, I think it's better. Now the features that I would have like shopping carts maybe in there. And my messaging one, I've only got this, so I'm gonna click on this. Is quirk the real capital? Let's go. Yes. Please try again. Does this work? Actually, never linked that. I think I undid my link, so I'm stuck. But it's okay because I have my home button, which should be linked. So that should have been linked. This is why you test things. It's linked. It's actually just too close to here, so it's not working. Now if I press this, it should link. Yeah, now it works. It was just too close to the outside. And that will get me back. So I have navigation. So things to consider. We have some really good questions or comments on color and what works and what doesn't work. You've seen color work badly. It wouldn't have worked very well. You've seen the shapes, you've seen the links, and you've seen how you can get that started. You can go all the way through. So this, and I will copy all these at the end in so that you'll have access to them. And they'll all open on iCloud. This one was built exactly the same as what I have just done. So in here, all of these are just shapes. Now I know this is opening on my Keynote Mac app, but these are all shapes. These buttons, you'll see there's green instead of blue, but that's the only difference there, just an interface. These are all shapes, and there's lots more text boxes in there. This just gives you an outline of what's in there. There's lots of circles and everything. Someone made a good comment about pastel colors. I think it was Anna said, pastels are good when developing apps and making the text bold colors black and having the font simple colors, even though I use dark mode on all your apps. Yeah, I think you need to, and I know developers would also, and this is another, not a problem, it's a challenge. They have to consider what their app looks like in dark mode. as well. And I know some make decisions and people don't like them. Like I know when the Twitter one happened, I thought it was my eyes going, well, what's wrong with my Twitter? I like it now. It just took a couple of days. But a lot of people were like, oh, what has this happened? Because they weren't expecting it. So your user has to, I guess, yeah, be prepared for change. And you have to be prepared that sometimes they won't like that change, but then they probably will when they realize that it's otherwise better. So the other, I know I haven't given this journal, but I'm going to give you the link to this. The other journal, so the one that I gave you at the start that I went through is like the getting started and developing your ideas. I know you have lots of questions and ideas about colors, text, what works, and navigation. You can, with what I showed you, do all that in your Keynote with those simple steps of shapes and lengths and duplicating slides. This other journal is another Apple journal, which I like, and it is the Develop in Swift one. The reason I like it is because I'm just gonna play it, goes into a lot more detail from the developer point of view. So the other one is good when you're getting started, but this asks you more questions. So you've been my testers today. So you have told me when something didn't work, and it's always important to not do this by yourselves. I think you're working in teams in your countries, and it's important to listen to everybody in your team because they're going to have ideas. And I know you can probably get your siblings to try your apps as well and tell them what works, or your grandparents or your neighbors or somebody else. Always get opinions because it's not an app for you, it's an app for everybody else. So there's some exercises in this one. This actually has direct links to the Go Green prototype that I showed you, which is one of my favorites prototypes. They did a wonderful job creating that one. And it will go through all the Keynote basics, everything that you have can be done on iCloud.com because I know there's a lot of you working off that today. It will give you more questions, but it'll also go through like scripting as well. I'm just going to make these smaller so I can go to the end. When it comes to prototyping, it will also, and this is why that for those of you using paper today and just drawing squares and rectangles and putting in what you want. This will also help with your linking, your navigation, and testing it. You saw I played that, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 times, even though I only did a few screens. But you're constantly testing and making sure that things work, or in my case, didn't work. And then yeah, it'll kind of break apart. So if I wanted a calendar in there, I could have copied something similar to that. And I think all your features kind of work in there. And then it'll go down to testing. So what works? What script? So if you're creating this, what script are you going to have if you're coding it? Yeah, what's going to work, and what might you have to learn. I know there's lots of great tutorials out there for when you're actually coding this. And then validating is you going, does this work? So like this person, this screen or this template is something that it's filled in, but there's blank ones too. You might give that to a friend from school and give them your prototype of your app, and you go, can you for 10 minutes tell me everything that worked and didn't work? And they might say something that you didn't notice. Like I noticed the colors were not working in my app for me after a couple of them, but yeah, if I hadn't, and I saw the comments, I know a couple of people said maybe it's the colors, then it may have made me go, oh, maybe my colors just don't work anymore. So that's lots of resources. I'm actually just going to copy the links to all of them so you can have them, and I'm sure they may be emailed out after if somebody uses them, but these are lots of links to lots of prototyping journals and content. Just gonna pop them all in there so you have them. And if anybody has any questions, or if there's something, if you want me to do part of that keynote again, I know there's about 10 minutes, you can let me know. That all comments, I think they all went through. There's a little gap between them, but hopefully if you copy and paste, they will work. And hopefully you'll find those useful when you're creating your prototypes and thinking about your apps. Does anybody have a question or something they're wondering about their prototypes that you want me to try and answer? Everybody suddenly goes quiet. So that's a really good question. So Keynote is for prototyping. Obviously, if you hand somebody an app, and it will feel like an app. There's one more stage I actually have. I'm just going to see if I can, I'll quickly show you. You can create it so that it is even an app icon on your home screen. So it looks that much like a real app. But yeah, it's not going to be able to go on the App Store or be saved. So from your prototype, once you have your prototype done, it'll answer questions for you. So what works? So you might go on to develop in like code.org. I don't know what coding apps you have experience with or what you might done. Mine would go on, my own students would go on and develop them in Xcode for iPad or iPhone. So the resources that I have shared, all those links do have next steps. So they do have steps for their developing iOS apps, not Android apps, but they do have next steps. And then it's figuring out how to make it into an app. So for when we're looking at coding apps in particular, my class, say there was 20 students, 24 students, by the time we're finished the prototypes, we might have 3 apps. They would all start with a prototype, but the prototype would tell them what might work or might not work. So one of the examples of an app that didn't work or doesn't work was a couple of years ago, a student came up with this wonderful idea. It seemed like a really good idea to help older people in their community. And they wanted to help them by checking in with them. So they wanted to have this app where you go and you make sure that they have like food, that someone's taking care of them, that they're good, they don't need anything. But the reason why it never made it to being an app was we had security concerns. So we worried that if you had an app out there that had a list of lots of vulnerable people or older people in there, that if the wrong person used it, they could use it obviously for the wrong reasons. So that never got made into an app. But we also have ones where students might create app prototypes, and those app prototypes might be really similar and they might work together. So that's why prototyping gets you through the stage of going, this is a really good app that I'm really, really happy with, and now I'm going to learn how to code and create it all in the code, and you'll go back. So yeah, your next steps are depending on how you plan on coding it. I don't know. I know there's other workshops planned for you, but some of them may be code specific. This was just for the prototyping stages of it. I'm just going to see if I do have that app on here. It's on this one. Or I might have deleted it. Did I delete it? Just going to share this really quick. This is not the one I was talking about, but these are in here. App prototypes that I would have had this year, Keynote ones, and you'll see they look like they're app icons. So this one was a pet one. And if you click on their app icon, this is a travel one. This one, I think this was exercise. If I click on them, I was clicking in the wrong screen. It'll open up like the idea, and the idea this one had, this was a really early one, was tracking their exercise and their walking and giving us various different like stats on it. But it looks like an app. So the person that asked, can you develop all the way? You can develop a prototype and nobody will know difference. But obviously there will be functionality, like things like saving, that it won't work. But it's a really good idea to see that your app, whether your app will work from the end, basically, like whether it'll develop into this great app. So I'm just going to go here. So now it's like your time to create, your time to work forward with those. You have all the resources that I've shared, and I'm sure if somebody misplaces them, they can be reshared again. But hopefully they'll give you something to think about. Think about your colors and your fonts and your navigation and your different screens. And I would like to thank everybody from taking time out of your summer holidays for a lot of you. I know it's the last week for lots of us, so taking a couple of hours out of them, it just shows how great you're going to be. And I'm sure I'm going to see lots of your names on the App Store going forward over the next few months or years. You're going to be some really great app developers. So thank you.